peaceful revolution. Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable.
Revolution.
First, what is a revolution?
Revolution is the solution, hey.
The motive of a revolution.
Well, now,
The objective of a revolution.
be televised.
And the result of a revolution. And the methods used in a revolution.
I know you know. Put my gun away. Never gonna put my gun away. Put my gun away. See them out, you better run away.
This generation of Americans has already had enough, more than enough, of war and hate and oppression.
Hello, Internet. Hope everybody's having a fantastic Friday. Happy Friday. We got a ton to talk about tonight, and I'm probably not going to be able to get through all of it. That's why I'm doing a random, impromptu Friday night stream. Yeah, tons of stuff to get into. I wanted to just talk about... Oh, no audio? Oh, let me know if I got audio now, Danger. Let's see here. That's no bueno. Yeah, one of you guys in the chat, let me know if I got audio. Oh, okay. All right. Thanks, Danger. We were going to start off talking about the symbolic team. Nice to see you. The indictment of the former chief of staff of Gavin Newsom. And because that's a big story. That's a big thing that's going on right now. And I got a whole theory about, I know, conspiracy time, right? Not really. There's a lot of people going down in California politics right now, and I think it could all be connected, but we'll get into that later because I want to start off talking about the H-1B stuff because the more I look into this stuff and the more I notice it, especially here in California, specifically Silicon Valley, you realize how big of a problem it is. And this interview that Trump did on Laura Ingram's show the other night really pissed off a lot of people. And the statement particularly that he made, well, I'll just play it for you guys. Let's see. Danger dominoes are starting to fall. I hope so. I mean, I think so. I don't know. We'll see. Let's go over to this clip. This is what Donald Trump used to say about the H-1B situation. So let's watch this. This is a clip from Jimmy Dore. And let's listen to what Donald Trump used to say about H-1B visas.
It's beauty. So remember when Trump said this about immigration?
For decades, this company has served the needs of American workers. It's time we had a federal government that does the same. The Buy and Hire American order I'm about to sign will help protect workers and students like those of you in the audience today. This historic action declares that the policy of our government is to aggressively promote and use American-made goods and to ensure that American labor is hired to do the job. Right now, widespread abuse in our immigration system is allowing American workers of all backgrounds to be replaced by workers brought in from other countries to fill the same job for sometimes less pay. This will stop.
Oh, really?
American workers have long called for reforms to end these visa abuses.
Okay.
And today their calls are being answered for the first time.
Okay, so they're talking about, so there he is. He's saying one thing, but now the guys that he's got surrounding him, the billionaires like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, are saying the opposite. Because Trump was saying he's going to protect American labor against visa abuses. Well, so there's this big fight online happening over the H-1B visas.
So think about that. So think about some of Trump's biggest backers were this time around. You had Elon, you had Mark Zuckerberg, Peter Thiel, is it David Sachs? A lot of tech people. The guy from Sam Altman, the dude from OpenAI. A lot of Silicon Valley relies purely on H-1B visas, and it's a huge problem. And they try to act like H-1B visas are only used when they can't find American talent to fill these positions. And it's absolutely not the case out here. What you end up happening is not only are American workers getting hired, or not only are H-1B visa holders getting hired for these positions over American workers, a lot of the times American workers are getting laid off, and they actually have to train their replacement and their replacement is obviously making less money than them. And that's why they're replacing them, just to save money on overhead. So not only are they taking American jobs, it's humiliating to the people that have to train their own replacement, knowing what it's all about. So Donald Trump was on with Laura Ingraham, and I mean, even Laura Ingraham was calling him out on this. Like, what are you talking about, dude? This is, I'll just play the clip. I really couldn't believe that he said this.
If you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
That right there. We have plenty of talent. No, you don't. No, you don't. I mean, what a slap in the face. What a complete slap in the face to everyone, especially people that got STEM degrees that are coming out and now they're struggling to work, and they're realizing how many software engineers and tons of different jobs in tech, accountants even, that are filling these positions when they're going hundreds of thousands of dollars into debt to get this college degree. And then they're finding out that, oh no, they don't want to hire you because you cost too much money. Just continue listening.
We don't have talented people here.
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles. Or
why not? And you use missiles as the example. I mean, these aren't the engineers that are creating the missiles. I mean, slapping the actual missiles together, it's manual labor. Why can't you just pull people off the unemployment line and train them? Why not? And Danger, you and I were talking about this the other day. I know, but you deal with a lot of retards. You deal with a lot of young, dumb kids. There's plenty of people that are our age that are having trouble finding work. And there's so many positions that are easily trainable. And a lot of the times these people come in with H-1B visas, and it's not like they already know how to do the job. They have to be trained too. So why not train American workers?
How did we ever do it before?
Well,
I'll
give you an example. In Georgia, they raided because they wanted illegal immigrants out. They had people from South Korea that made batteries all their lives. Making batteries are very complicated. It's not an easy thing. It's very dangerous. A lot of explosions, a lot of problems. They had like 500 or 600 people, early stages, to make batteries and to teach people how to do it. Well, they wanted them to get out of the country. You're going to need that, Laura. I mean, I know you and I disagree on this. You can't just say a country's coming in, going to invest $10 billion to build a plant, and going to take people off an unemployment line who haven't worked in 5 years, and they're going to start making missiles. It doesn't work that way.
I mean, this just speaks to what he thinks about the American worker. Take people off the unemployment line that haven't worked in 5 years. Okay, let's keep going. Let's get into the actual stats of the H-1Bs. So this is from Fox News. So if you guys don't trust this, I have more stats to follow this one up. But this is some very interesting information about the H-1B visas that came out. This is a clip from Fox News. And let's see who's actually getting these H-1B visas.
700,000 H-1B visa holders in America. Now, who is coming to this country to take these high-skilled jobs? As I mentioned, STEM fields dominate the occupations. And
so that's Silicon Valley specifically. All of the tech companies are here in the Bay Area, in the South Bay. Silicon Valley, Cupertino, Sunnyvale, Mountain View, San Jose, Fremont, all up and down the peninsula. All the tech companies are here. I mean, all of them. You've got Meta, Facebook, Instagram. You've got TikTok, ByteDance. You've got Cisco. You've got Oracle, Amazon, eBay. I mean, Nutanix, OpenAI, all these different companies, tons of AI companies are here. I mean, AI companies you haven't even heard of, like Airtable and Databricks, you know, all of these companies. When you bring in all of these H-1B visa holders, pay them less, you're bringing in a certain amount of people on top of the existing population, and that drives up rental prices. So not only are you robbing local Californians, Americans of these jobs just so you can pay them less, and these are the richest of the rich companies in the entire world. I mean, tech companies are insanely rich. They can, but they just want to cut overhead and not pay American workers. So in addition to making it so local people that already live here can't get these jobs, you're driving up the rental prices on these local people as well by having an influx of people. And now people are competing for different apartments.
Most of the workers come from India. In fact, 70% of H-1B visa holders come from India. Another 10 to 15% come from China. 80% of H-1B visa approvals are for entry-level or junior-level jobs. That's a little hard to stomach when we hear that we're not talented enough or that we're not skilled enough for these jobs, when you consider that most of these jobs are actually at entry or junior level jobs. And it's definitely to the benefit of corporations, tech companies that can hire foreign workers, trust me on this, cheaper than American workers. This is laid out, by the way, by billionaire tech entrepreneur Palmer Luckey.
There's so much.
This guy's also freaking dangerous. This dude's building insane surveillance state technology, and he just recently came out and said that how he's an American Zionist. And I mean, the guy built his company from scratch, but yeah, Palmer Luckey here describes exactly how the H-1Bs are used.
H-1B abuse. You would not believe what I saw when I was in Silicon Valley. It is insane. It's obviously a program to try and replace U.S. workers with basically slave labor that can't ever escape. The H-1B abuse is crazy.
So that's the thing too. When these companies hire these H-1B workers, not only do they get to pay them less money, but they essentially become indentured servants, because if they screw up and piss off their boss and get fired, they're gone. They're out of the country. So they're going to work, crazy hours. They're going to do anything that they're told. I mean, a lot of people would say, well, American workers should be working really hard too, but the companies can completely take advantage of these H-1B visa holders. And yeah, you essentially become an indentured servant when you work here, or when you come here on H-1B visa. Danger, lots of Americans don't want to work. Yeah, well, not the people that went and got these STEM degrees that are being replaced. And a lot of that has to do with how demoralized Americans are as well, and the welfare safety net that's created by the California government, where who's going to go work fast food for $20 an hour when you can sit at home and get paid by the state to work that? So there's like this incentivized structure created that makes people want to stay home, not work. And then there's the demoralization on top of it, not being able to afford anything. You have just enough money to be broke all the time, where you're barely keeping a roof over your head. All right, let's keep going here. Let's dig into some of these stats. So this is from 888 Lioness, and he put this up here earlier. So this is just, where is this from? I don't know what platform you got this. Mapbox. I don't know which platform we got this from. So this is the state of California. Number of employees, petitioners is 9,935. Beneficiaries approved 86,147. So over at Meta, and this is just for the year 2025. Over at Meta, they got 6,294 H-1B workers. Google, 5,550 H-1B workers. These are all numbers for H-1Bs. 5,380 over at Apple. And I wonder why these other ones are in gray. I think the ones that are in gray are not STEM. Let me see. I think he said it on here. No, he didn't. Okay, so these then you got HCL America, Cisco, Nvidia, Salesforce, Qualcomm, PayPal, ByteDance, all these different companies. They got 2,200, 1,900, 1,700, 1,500, all jobs that could be going to Americans, Californians. It would be one thing if the H-1Bs were used in the way that they're supposed to be used, to where it's like, we tried to fill these roles. We put out the job posting. We went through interviews. There's nobody qualified or nobody showed up for the interviews. We have to bring someone in to fill this position because it's a vital position that we need filled. They're not doing that. They're replacing people and then going directly to the H-1B pool in order to hire people. They're not even looking at Americans. The system is so abused, it's absurd. All right, let's go over to Benny Johnson here. He's got another one pulled up here. So he says, America does not need more visas for people from India. Indians are used as indentured slaves by U.S. firms who despise who despise the American worker. No immigration policy has more cruelly displaced Americans as H-1B fraud. H-1B program is a morally indefensible if you care about U.S. workers. So there's a breakdown of different jobs that H-1B workers are taking. So technician lead, the median pay for an American worker as a technician lead is $189,000. Good paying job. H-1B, they cut it in half, $95,000. That's insane. I make more than that. In Silicon Valley, $95,000 a year ain't shit. Like if you're trying to survive on your own on $95,000 a year, you're struggling. Like it's tough. Software engineer, $161,000, almost $162,000, $129,000 with H-1B visa holder. So Java developer, the median pay for an American worker would be $160,000. For an H-1B, $92,000. So like almost cutting these wages in half. Hardware engineer. So what's weird here, that's interesting. So $138,000 for an American worker, it's actually higher for an H-1B visa worker. That's $147,000. So H-1B hardware engineers make more than American workers. I wonder why. I wonder if there's just less H-1B workers that know how to solder. I don't know. Interesting. Senior software developer, $135,000 for an American worker, $112,000 for H-1B. Then you've got software developer, $132,000 for an American worker, $100,000 for H-1B. You guys get the point. They pay the H-1B workers less in most cases. There's this other one, data scientist. An American worker makes $108,000 a year, where an H-1B visa holder makes $120,000 a year. So that's interesting. Those are the two where the H-1Bs are making more, except for one more, project manager. That's funny. Project manager, American project manager makes $98,000. This is the median pay. That's interesting. I'm a tech. I'm not even a project manager, and like I'm getting more than that. That's weird. So in the vast majority of cases, H-1Bs are getting drastically underpaid compared to American worker. And that's the whole reason behind this. That's why they're doing it. So let's look at the left-wing perspective from this. Let's go over to Bernie Sanders and see what he has to say about this. He says, Elon Musk is wrong. The main factor of the H-1B visa program is not to hire the best and the brightest, but rather to replace good-paying American jobs with low-wage indentured servants from abroad. The cheaper the labor they hire, the more money the billionaires make. All right, that was my best Bernie that I could do. So he wrote a letter. This is the U.S. Senate Committee on Health, Education, and Labor and Pensions. So this is from Bernie Sanders. This is from a socialist. So let's see what he has to say about this. All right. He says, there's been a lot of discussion lately about the H-1. I'm not going to do the Bernie voice for this whole letter. I can't keep that up. There's been a lot of discussion lately about the H-1B guest worker program. Elon Musk and a number of other billionaire tech company owners have argued that this federal program is vital to our economy because the scarcity of the highly skilled American engineers and other tech workers. I disagree. The main function of the H-1B visa program and other guest worker initiatives is not to hire the best and the brightest, but rather to replace good-paying American jobs with low-wage indentured service from abroad. The cheaper the labor they hire, the more money the billionaires make. So, I mean, actually, I absolutely agree with him on this. And this kind of goes on top of the other thing that Trump said in the same interview with Laura Ingraham. He's talking about how we need to bring in 600,000 students from China to go to schools. What? So they can get STEM degrees and then start working at these tech companies instead of American workers? It's like the American worker is getting hit from all angles. And this is just the H-1B stuff. We're going to talk about how illegal immigration is affecting American jobs as well, because that's a huge problem on top of this. Bernie continues. In 2022 and 2023, the top 30 corporations using this program laid off at least 85,000 American workers, while they hired over 34,000 new H-1B guest workers. Incredible. There are estimates that as many as 33% of all new information technology jobs in America are being filled by guest workers. Further, according to the Census Bureau data, there are millions of Americans with advanced degrees in science, technology, engineering, and math who are not currently employed in those professions. So they're bypassing these people and they're sitting on the bench. If there is really a shortage of skilled tech workers in America, why did Tesla lay off over 7,500 American workers this year, including many software developers and engineers at its factory in Austin, Texas, while being approved to employ thousands of H-1B guest workers? So it's interesting. Remember back a few months ago when Elon and Vivek were like, oh, no, we need the H-1Bs. I wonder why. I wonder why they were so big on this. And this started a huge stink a few months ago, and it's still an issue. So, I mean, I wonder who's lobbying. Trump initially was talking about it, years ago, 2016, he was talking about how abused this H-1B system is. And now he's backtracking and completely flip-flopping on this. I wonder why. I wonder who donated to his campaigns. I wonder who's in his ear. It's interesting. Moreover, if these jobs are only going to the best and the brightest, why is Tesla employed H-1B guest workers as associated accountants for as little as $5,800 a year, associated mechanical engineers for as little as $70,000 a year, and associate material planners for as little as $80,000 a year? Those don't sound like highly specialized jobs that are for the top 0.1% that Musk claimed this week. If this program is really supposed to be about importing workers with highly advanced degrees in science and technology, why are H-1B guest workers being employed as dog trainers, massage therapists, cooks, and English teachers? Can we really not find English teachers in America? Okay, so like this doesn't just apply to highly skilled jobs. And I'm not saying like lower position jobs in the tech industry. I'm talking about people working at 7-Eleven. I'm talking about people working at hotels. Like, how are we not able to fill these positions? Let's be clear, to the extent that there may have been labor shortages in our country in some highly specialized areas that need to be filled by employees from abroad through the H-1B program, we must utilize this program as a very short-term and temporary approach. In the long term, if the United States is going to be able to compete in a global economy, we must make sure that we have the best educated workforce in the world. And one way to make that happen is to substantially increase the guest worker fees large corporations pay to fund scholarships, apprenticeships, and job training opportunities for American workers. This is something that I have advocated for my first days as U.S. Senator. Now, Trump did, I'm not sure if they actually passed a bill, but I remember them talking like a month ago about how companies are starting next year are going to have to pay, what is it, like $100,000 a year on like to the government for each H-1B visa person that they employ. So, I mean, that's a good move to me. But I haven't heard much else about that. If you guys know anything more about that, drop it in the chat maybe. Further, we must also significantly raise minimum wage for guest workers. Oh, come on, Bernie. Like, you got to always be a socialist. Allow them to easily switch jobs and make sure that corporations are required to aggressively recruit American workers first before they can hire workers from overseas. The widespread corporate abuse of the H-1B program must be ended. Bottom line, it should never be cheaper for a corporation to hire a guest worker from overseas than an American worker. How is Bernie being a more America first than Trump? Mr. Musk, Mr. Ramaswamy. So this must have been back from this whole thing was going on. Mr. Musk, Mr. Ramaswamy, and others have argued that we need a highly skilled and well-educated workforce. They are right, but the answer is, however, is not to bring in cheap labor from abroad. The answer is to hire qualified American workers first. Wow, Bernie's even saying America first in this thing. Like, how is Bernie Sanders, socialist ass Bernie Sanders, more America first than Trump right now? Like, I'm sorry, but he is on this. Okay, American workers first, and make certain that we have an education system that produces the kind of workforce that our country needs for the jobs of the future. And that's not just engineering. We are in desperate need of more doctors, nurses, dentists, teachers, electricians, plumbers, and a host of other professions. 30 years ago, the economic elite and political establishment in both major parties told us not to worry about the loss of blue-collar manufacturing jobs that would come as a result of disastrous, unfettered free trade agreements like NAFTA and permanent normal trade relations with China, PNTR. They promised that these lost jobs would be more than offset by the many good-paying white-collar information technology jobs that would be created in the U.S., and now those are going away. Well, that turned into a big lie. Not only have corporations exported millions of blue-collar manufacturing jobs to China, Mexico, and other low-wage countries, they are now importing hundreds of thousands of low-paid guest workers from abroad to fill the white-collar technology jobs that are available. At a time of massive income and wealth inequality, when the richest 3 people in America now own more wealth than the bottom half of the country, and when CEOs of major corporations make almost 300 times more than their average workers, we need fundamental changes in our economic policies. We need an economy that works for all, not just for a few. And one important way forward in that direction is to bring about major reforms to the H-1B program. So I agree with Bernie on pretty much everything that he said right there. I hugely disagree with him on a lot of his economic policies, but I mean, he's spot on in this. I mean, tell me where he's off base on that one. So it's just insane. Bernie is more America first than Trump on the H-1B situation. All right, I'm trying to get through this one as fast as I can because I got this next block I'm going to do is going to take a while. So, all right. So this guy's name is Robert Sterling. You guys should go give him a follow over on X. He put together a H-1B mega thread. So let's get into it. So he says, before I start, one note, all charts in this thread are for applications that were certified. In other words, approved for entry into the H-1B lottery. I filtered out applicants that the government rejected. All numbers here and therefore are for visas visa employees that are realistically attempted to obtain. Okay. I think a tree just fell, you guys. I live in the forest. It's like I think a tree just fell. I felt that. To start with this program is massively popular with employers. The program that has a statutory limit of 85,000 visas per year, but employers routinely receive approval for more than 800,000 applications per year, 868,000 or 10 times the limit in 2024. So how's that happening? There's supposed to be a limit of 85,000, but 868,000 are getting approved. So that's insane. Contrary to what I expected, the average salary for an H-1B is relatively low, slightly under 120,000 this year. Given that much of the H-1B debate pertains to tech workers, I incorrectly assumed the average would be higher, but this is the beauty of data, right? Okay. You can see the salaries of disproportionately, you can see the salaries are disproportionately weighed toward the lower bands. 17% are above 75,000, 21% are between 75 and 100,000, 22% are 100,000 to 125,000, and 15% are 125,000 to 150,000. So this is the chart here. All right, so you guys don't really need to see that. So he says, in other words, 75% are jobs are paying less than 150,000. Only 25% are 150,000 and above, and those are only 2.5% and only 2.5% are paying above 250,000. So they're not paying huge numbers for these H-1B workers. I roughly categorized job descriptions into computer software, IT-related roles, teal, and everything else is gray. Oh, that's insane. Almost all of the prominent job categories are tech-related. The top 2 categories for software developer roles are 1.1 million over 5 years by themselves. So Yeah, so there's software developers and software developers for applications, and then just software developers. Yeah, so that's 1.2 million. Just those two, just these top two categories. Then you've got computer systems analysts, computer systems engineers, software developers, system software, information technology project managers. Like that's project managers. Like really? Like there's almost 100,000 H-1Bs for project managers. How is that a highly skilled, like project managers, you throw a rock out a window and hit a project manager. They're everywhere. Like, how is that happening? Computer and information systems managers. So again, it's not like a highly skilled, like technical trade. Computer programmers, business intelligence analysts, mechanical engineers. That's something like, keep going. Operations research analysts, and then the numbers start dwindling from there. But you've got, so this is pretty much all the IT field. All right, let's keep going here. Basically, every role with 30,000 plus H-1B applications for STEM field, with this application of accountants and auditors, 49,000, most of them IT related at that. There's a little more variety in roles with smaller numbers, but overall tilt towards STEM remains throughout. Let's review the applications by employer. Again, with Teal representing, there are some huge numbers here. 15 companies alone received approval for 20,000 plus applications each. We'll go back to employers momentarily, or keep going. Looking at application by employer, NAICS code 5415, computer systems designs, absolutely dwarfs everything else. 1.2 million applications over 5 years. The next two largest are 6. All right, you guys are probably getting bored with all these numbers, but okay, I'm just going to keep going here. As it turns out, these are all Indian companies that import H-1B tech workers en masse. Cognizant, Infosys, Tata Consulting Services, Wipro. Okay, just companies I've never heard of. Cognizant I've heard of. As it turns out, these are all Indian companies that import H-1B tech workers en masse. So I guess it's easy to see why they don't want to hire Americans. What jobs are those companies seeking visas for? A metric fuck ton of these IT and software roles over the past 5 years. 80,000 plus computer systems analysts, Cognizant. So you guys are getting it. They're replacing as many tech workers as they can with H-1B visa holders. They don't want to pay American workers to do these jobs because they can get a 20 to 50% discount. Google, not surprisingly, had 45,000 applications for software developers alone. It says, you can see where I'm going with this. A casual pursuit of the data shows that this isn't a program for the top 0.1 of talent, as been described. This is simply a way to recruit hundreds of thousands of relatively lower wage IT and financial services professionals. So this guy sifts through all the data and just confirms exactly everything Bernie Sanders just said, that this isn't a program. Oh, we can't find these workers. They're just not here. We've tried. So no, that's not what they're doing. They're just project managers. Like, really? You need to bring project managers from abroad to fill these positions? Bullshit. It's like, that's not what these visas are designed to be for. So this guy says, like millions of illegals can distort the rental market, millions of H-1Bs distort the tech industry and beyond. So from 2019 to 2025, 2 million active H-1Bs. So this is pretty much just Silicon Valley. Just California tech companies, 2 million. Like, really? How are we okay with this? There's so many jobs, high-paying jobs. And again, it's funny he mentions that illegals can distort the rental market. Well, this also distorts the rental market. All of these are people that are brought in on top of the existing population. They all need to rent a place. That's going to inflate the more demand, the higher the rent goes. So it's amazing that people are just okay with this. All right. So this one's funny. So this guy he was commenting on so I put out a post earlier. It says, unpopular opinion in California. I'd rather see young Californians with little to no job experience working at convenience stores and gas stations over people who came here illegally and people who came here on H-1B visas. Martin Lawrence says H-1Bs don't work at gas stations. They are educated and earn a minimum of 100K. Uneducated racists like you will never understand that. And then this guy Chief Tong comes in and he says 7-Eleven's approval versus denial graph. So 7-Eleven is applying for H-1B visas. So across the board, they're like all getting approved, 100% approved, 100% approved. It doesn't say the number, it only shows the percentage. So I'd be interested in seeing how many H-1B applications 7-Eleven is submitting. But again, like, why is 7-Eleven, why are we bringing in people to work at 7-Eleven? Why are we bringing in people to work at Chevron? Like, that's my whole point. This shit's insane. Like, how is 7-Eleven able to apply for an H-1B visa for their workers? This is insane. And so these are the jobs that I'm talking about where, like, why aren't, kids that are on summer vacation or kids that are going to college that are just, you need a part-time job, or even Americans that are maybe on hard times. Maybe you got out of prison. Like, why are we importing H-1B visa holders to work at 7-Eleven? Okay, so, all right, we'll continue. So we'll move that to the end here. Okay, so I posted this. I posted that. I posted that tweet that I just read to you guys. So, unpopular opinion in California. I'd rather see young Californians with little to no job experience working at convenience stores and gas stations over people who came here illegally and people who came here on H-1B visas. So I don't usually just talk about my posts and then comments that come in on this, but this is going into the illegal immigration part of this too. So it's H-1B visas are robbing American workers of jobs, and so is illegal immigration. Both of these things are, and they're both inflating rental prices as well. So, of course, and I usually don't put people on blast, but this chick annoyed the shit out of me, and it's not some small account. She's got like 25,000 followers, but apparently like travels around. I don't know. Looks like she does speaking events or some shit like that. But this is Nikki Irish Travels. She says, "You're right there. So close. Now use your pea brain to understand why immigrants do these jobs, you dumbass." I'm like, okay, maybe I'm missing something here. What am I missing? They do them for the same reasons that young Americans would do them, because they're entry-level positions. With your infinite wisdom, how about you tell me what I'm missing? All right, so we go back and forth for a little bit on that. But then this guy, Octoman, chimes in and he says, and there it is. So, well, here, she actually says, this is the whole liberal bigotry of low expectations thing. It's insane. The people that say we need a livable wage. Everybody that works a job deserves a livable wage. And then when we talk about like, okay, well, we need to, deport illegal immigrants. No, who's going to pick our crops for slave wages? Like, they simultaneously hold those two positions. And this chick is the epitome of that. It's insane. So she says, just because you put words out and form a tweet doesn't mean that what you're saying is right. There have been many studies done about Americans not wanting to fill low-level positions. There's studies done that Americans don't want to fill low-level positions. It's the same reason you would never in a million years, no matter what, go pick strawberries under the scorching sun for 10 hours a day, making $15 an hour, or drive a cab, or do lawn maintenance, or clean hotel rooms. Like, they really think this. They really think that Americans won't drive a cab, do lawn maintenance, clean hotel rooms. Why not? And she's saying for $15 an hour. The minimum wage in California isn't $15 an hour. And if you paid American workers, a good solid wage to go pick strawberries, why wouldn't American workers do it? Like, this idea that, Americans just don't want to work these jobs. Are you saying that they don't want to work the job, or the job doesn't pay enough? Aren't you the ones that are, everybody deserves a livable wage? Aren't you those people? So what is the issue here? Because Americans would happily work pretty much any job if the pay was good enough. So the guy says, and there it is, the soft bigotry of low expectations, typical of a white liberal female. Let the low-born brown people do the work, do the world, do all the shit. Sorry, you typed this out funny. Who else can? Okay, so then Nikki chimes in and says, last I checked, she really said this. Last I checked, I wasn't a business owner. Oh, sorry. So Nikki says, be honest. How many people do you know that aren't immigrants that will go clean someone's toilet for $10 an hour? So there it is. Who's going to clean our toilets? Who's going to clean our toilets for slave wages? There it is. That's it right there. Like, it's incredible. And this just freaking annoyed the shit out of me. It's like, it's so off base. It's so wrong. My mom, when I was a kid, ran a house cleaning company. She cleaned toilets. Like, there's plenty of Americans that'll go work at hotel rooms, work at hotels, and they're the ones that change the bed sheets and clean the room. Plenty of Americans that would do that. I think there's plenty of Americans that would pick crops. And that's just those jobs. What about construction? What about drywallers, framers, electricians? There's tons of jobs. There's tons of companies like framing companies or drywall companies or painting companies that if you don't speak Spanish, good luck. Good luck getting in there. And yeah, bet your ass, a lot of them are illegal immigrants. The thing is, the Biden administration made them legal to work here, essentially. And this is how we had the truck driver fiasco for illegal immigrants that are killing people. So, like I've talked about on other episodes, somebody comes to the border, see a border patrol agent, throw their hands up, say, I'm seeking asylum. They get turned in, they get processed. If they wait 6 months, they get processed and they get given a court date for 3, 4, 5 years out, 8 years out. But after 6 months, they can get a work authorization from the federal government. Then they go to a sanctuary state where they can get any job that they want, literally any job. And I'm asking if they can become police officers because tons of them got their CDLs. Like, what jobs can they get? So, I mean, there's illegal immigrants working in California that are working legally, technically. And I mean, yeah, again, it's just like this huge influx of people that, you know, otherwise they'd have to hire American workers. And entry-level positions, like you go on a construction site, you'll see the guy that's going around picking up trash, sweeping up, that kind of thing. I mean, back in the day, young kids that are fresh out of high school, maybe they can't afford college, and they want to just get right into the workforce. A lot of times, people used to just go to construction sites, ask to speak to the foreman, be like, "Hey, I'm so and so. You know, wear a nice shirt, shake their hand, say, I need a job. I'm interested in working for you. I can start just by sweeping up and cleaning." They'll hire you. They'll hire you on the spot. A lot of them, not anymore. Like, those entry-level positions are gone. And then there's other like apprentice positions where you learn how to tape drywall, learn how to throw up drywall, insulation, framing, like apprenticeship type positions. Like, these jobs these are jobs that Americans would do, and they're getting screwed. People are getting screwed out of these jobs. Thanks, Eric. Nice to see you. Walter, what was he arrested for? Who? Let's see. Oh gee, I need caught up on the chat here. Oh yeah. I saw that. The football coach that got killed in Oakland. Yeah. Walter, how do I say that? Washkulia? Did I say that right? Hi all, nice to see you. What was he arrested for? Who was arrested? Sorry, I don't know who we're talking about, Walter. Danger, I clean toilets at my work all the time. Yeah, like, dude, this is, so to me, this Nikki lady that's like, who's gonna pick our crops? Who's gonna clean our toilets? That kind of logic. This to me screams like affluent white liberal female, the awfuls, where they've never been on a construction site in their life. They probably grew up fairly wealthy, and they just They think they're the ones not being racist when they're the ones that are going to cross the street if they see an illegal immigrant walking their way. They don't want to actually associate with any of these people. Me, on the other hand, I associate with them all the time. I'm not saying that they're bad people. Like, tons of people that are here illegally are good people. They are trying to, like, a lot of them do really good work. In fact, the majority of them do pretty damn good work. That's not the issue. The issue is that they could do that really good work where they came from. And I understand there might not be as much opportunity over there, but if you come here, there's less opportunity for Americans. We're the only country in the world that does this. We're the only country in the world that just allows people to come over and take our jobs. It's like a systematic thing with the H-1B visas, the asylum situation where you can get a federal work authorization, and then the sanctuary state policies. And all of this is primarily taking place in California. It's screwing Californians, screwing people so bad. The middle class is absolutely disappearing in California, and people are completely demoralized, and they're moving away. And kids people that are like my age and younger have like no hope of ever owning a home. Oh, Donald Trump's solution here, instead of the 30-year mortgage, let's do the 50-year mortgage. Let's turn that house into double the cost over the entire period of time of the mortgage. Everything is so fucked. It drives me crazy. So this whole H-1B situation just pissed me off to all hell. So this guy just says, the concentration. So what's funny is the same Nikki chick. I took a tweet from her, and because she tried to fact check me. And I said, oh, look, the lady who's never been on a construction site in her life posted a fact check to prove that illegal immigrants aren't actually stealing jobs from America. And then she posts this like she's thinking she's proving me wrong. She posted this screenshot that says the concentration of immigrants is particularly high in construction trades essential for home building, such as plasterers, stucco, masons, drywalling, ceiling tile installers, roofers, painters, and carpet and floor and tile installers. And she posts this saying, like, I don't know what she was trying to say here. That is my point. That all of those jobs that are illegal immigrants are filling are jobs that Americans would be happy to work, and they're just not available now. So I don't know. This chick is clueless, and she fucking annoyed the shit out of me. So I just felt like I'd put her on blast on this show for all, 300 people that are watching. Well, maybe more than that. Who knows? Eric, how many miles did I run today? I can't run, bro. My foot's fucked up, remember? All right, let's keep going. Let me check over. If you guys, am I live on X? I'm not seeing any comments from X. Let me check the Rumble chat too, just to make sure we're good. Casey Martin, hello. Nice to see you. One Raven here. Thought Bernie Sanders just showed up. One Raven, I'm here to make sure the evil old lady doesn't show up with a restraining order again. That's funny. It's a little inside joke that I got with One Raven there. Casey Martin, Bernie is only doing what the left does, which is immediately disagree with President Trump no matter what Trump says. I don't necessarily agree with that because everything he said was spot on, and I don't think he would change his tune. I don't know. Bernie, as much as I disagree with Bernie actually seems like one of the more honest politicians, even though he's got some idiotic policies. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. He did bend the knee to Hillary. Anyway, so North Side over on Rumble, W2F surprise Friday stream. It's a Friday miracle. Yep, you got it, dude. North Side. I wonder if they invited a two-wheeled contraption where you can do cardio but not get injuries. First of all, bikes are expensive. Second of all, then I would have to admit I'm a cyclist if I started riding a bike. And nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to be a cyclist. Everyone hates cyclists. They're the most annoying creatures on planet Earth. And I've just been lifting weights. Can you guys tell? Can you guys tell that I've been lifting? I've been trying to get buff. It's only been like 4 weeks, so there's going to be no difference. I'm like 240 pounds right now. I'm not fat, though. So I'm just big. I'm just a big dude. It's another reason why running hurts so bad. A lot of weight running down the road. All right, let's keep going here. Let's get back over onto StreamYard. Okay, Eric, yes, I'm lazy. You're correct. I'm lazy. Bro, I did a 2-hour, 45-minute workout last night. You know this. Eric, thanks for actually hanging out. Usually you just like, make a comment and then leave because, yeah, you don't like my show. It's okay though. All right. You know what? I think that is all I got for the H-1Bs. Well, the last thing is, so this goes into the California stuff. So apparently California is revoking 17,000 commercial driver's licenses from illegal aliens because of all this backlash after the, 6 people have been killed because of illegal immigrant truck drivers with CDLs. So let's watch this quick clip from ABC 7.
California is revoking 17,000 commercial driver's licenses issued to immigrants.
Yeah, the decision is directly related to the legal status of the immigrant drivers.
Eyewitness News reporter Madison Weil live in our newsroom with these details. Madison.
Yeah, John, Rachel, Tony, that's right. The state says the licenses are being revoked because they're set to expire after the date the drivers are allowed to be in the U.S. The move follows pressure from the Trump administration, although California says these licenses violate.
So did you guys catch that? So they're only revoking the licenses of the illegal immigrant CDL holders where their license expires after the date that they're allowed to be in the U.S. What does that mean, allowed to be in the U.S.? Like, they're here illegally. Aren't they not allowed to be here now? Like, that's confusing. Let me play that again.
Pressure from the Trump administration, although California says these licenses violate an existing standard that was already in place. A nationwide audit was recently launched after a man from India with a commercial driver's license issued by California allegedly killed 3 people in Florida while making an illegal U-turn back in August. After that,
allegedly, it's on his dash cam. Like, that's him right there. Allegedly killed.
That incident and a national review, the Department of Transportation threatened to pull $160 million in federal funding from California, claiming the state is issuing commercial driver's licenses to undocumented immigrants. Still, Governor Newsom says that every driver whose license is being revoked had valid work authorizations from the federal government. Another horrific crash that has kept this.
So that's what I'm saying right there. So this isn't just for CDLs. If somebody comes to the border, they say, I'm seeking asylum, Border Patrol processes them, they give them a court date. If they wait 6 months, the federal government will give them a work authorization. At least that's the way it was under the Biden administration. So they then go to a sanctuary state like California, they get a CDL, they get a job on a construction site, they get a job working for a school, at a hospital, they got work authorization. They can, literally anybody can hire them. So what I was asking last episode, what about cops? SB, whatever it was, I can't remember, the Senate bill that Nancy Skinner authored that made it legal for non-citizens to become police officers. You guys remember that? So what's to stop? The only stipulate, it said non-citizen non-citizen residents can become police officers in California. San Francisco adopted that policy. All it said was that they need to be legally allowed to work in the United States. So that's why they were saying illegal immigrants can't become cops because they're not legally allowed to work in the United States. Bullshit. Yes, they are. If you illegally come here, say I'm seeking asylum, throw your hands up, get a court date, they will give you a work authorization. Why can't you then, like, you technically have followed all of the steps, and SB 967 or whatever it was allows you to become a police officer. So that's my question too. So yeah.
This issue in the spotlight is one that happened in Ontario last month. It involved an undocumented man from India who is now facing vehicular manslaughter and reckless driving charges after 3 people died in that fiery wreck. In September, the U.S. Department of Transportation implemented new rules for commercial driver's licenses that make it harder for immigrants to obtain these licenses. Reporting in the newsroom, Madison Weil, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
So that's happening. All right, let's all right, that's all I got on the H-1B visa stuff. But I mean, it's frustrating to me, and I went like 25 minutes longer than I wanted to on that subject. But this is an important one for me because the middle class is disappearing in California. So this H-1B policy that Trump is taking, this position that he's taking, is directly affecting Californians because the majority of H-1B visas are going to tech companies. I live in Silicon Valley. And like, I got a good job. I work for I'm in a niche industry where the H-1Bs aren't really a factor in my industry, but there's tons of Californians that are struggling. And if there's what's our unemployment rate at now here in California? I should have looked that up. I mean, how many of these H-1B jobs and jobs that are being filled by illegal immigrants are jobs that Californians would happily do for the same wage or maybe more? Like, the company's going to have to pay more. I mean, that's the other thing too. If there's a ton of workers that they have to choose from now, why wouldn't you pay the illegal immigrant that you don't have to pay as much? Like, why not? It drives down wages, it drives up rental prices, and it kills the middle class. There's no upside to this at all for the worker. This is completely anti-worker. So, like, everybody should be pissed about this. Everybody should be pissed about the position that Trump took on these H-1B visas, especially since he's flip-flopping on the issue, because he used to talk about how fraudulent the whole thing was. All right. I think that's all I got on the H-1B visa stuff. If you guys are watching, give the stream a thumbs up over on YouTube, leave a comment. Also, I always forget to do this. There's I'm an Amazon associate, and there's a bunch of links down below of stuff you can buy on Amazon. I think if you click on any of them and buy anything from Amazon, I'll get credit for it. I get a tiny commission on it. So if you guys want to help out in that regard, you can do that. Click on any of the links. Also, I put some stuff down there like the creatine that I take, a bunch of different running stuff that I like, running shoes that I like running shoes with a wide toe box, the running vest that I wear. Good stuff down there. The spy belt. The spy belt is awesome. It's only $25. It's like a little teeny stretchy fanny pack. They're fantastic. You put your keys in them, put your phone, put a lot of stuff in there. They're great. Okay. Anyway, keep an extra magazine in there. Fantastic. Danger, looking at you, buddy. All right, let's get over to this corruption shit that's going on in the California government. So, as many of you guys heard, Gavin Newsom's former chief of staff got arrested for a corruption indictment, and a corruption investigation. And apparently, they're charging her now. Well, at the time when they first started this investigation, they started the investigation under the Biden administration. So the Biden FBI actually started this investigation, and she was currently Gavin Newsom's chief of staff when the investigation began. When Gavin knew about it, he put her on leave. So for the last 2 years that this investigation's been taking place, Gavin knew. Gavin knew she was under investigation. So let's backtrack, though. So you guys remember a few months ago? So this is back in September. Back in September, well, Sheng Thao, the mayor of Oakland, Shengtown, she got recalled, if you guys remember. So Sheng Thao got recalled. I believe this was back in September. And look at the similarities. So this is so let me get to the right screen here. Sorry, I drink a Red Bull and I'm all burpy too. I need to quit this stuff. It's such an addiction, you guys. I can't kick the habit. It's harder than anything I ever quit. Eric, thanks to your donation to Israel. You know, that's it. If you guys didn't know, my Mossad handler is currently in the chat. That'll be $7,000. Anything pro-Israel that I say. Okay, so this is from Paul White Gold Eagle. And here it is, another Democrat. Former Oakland DEI Mayor Sheng Thao has been criminally indicted by a grand jury on corruption charges, bribery, racketeering, and perjury. In 2024, Madam DEI became the first mayor in Oakland's history to be recalled following a surge in crime, murder, and homelessness. This is one of the indictments. The indictment, Thao agreed to give city contracts and appointments to local businessmen, the Duongs, who I believe are closely tied to Rob Bonta. In return, I believe, fact check me on that. I don't want to slander Rob Bonta, even though he's a scumbag piece of shit. In return, David and Andy Duong paid for $75,000 in attack ads against Tao's opponent during her mayoral campaign, and paid another $95,000 to Andre Jones for a no-show job, promising more, all to benefit Thao and Jones personally. Okay, so she gave government contracts to these Duong's guy. I think they, ironically, I think that it was a sanitation company, like a trash company, and so she gave them a bunch of contracts, and in turn, they spent $75,000 in attack ads against Tao's opponents. So, you know, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. So let's go over to this clip from, I actually don't know where this is from, but let's just see. It's just some news organization, some local news organization. Okay. Is there even, this is just her house getting raided. So back in September, Sheng Thao's house got raided by the FBI. Okay, so why am I talking about this? This is back in September. Because now you've got this. So now this is from Ashley Zavala, best reporter in California. One of the best. There's some great ones, like 3 or 4. Dana Williamson, former chief of staff to Governor Gavin Newsom, was arrested by the FBI today in a political corruption case. So same shit. The U.S. DOJ says she faces charges related to fraud, obstruction of justice, and tax crimes. She's scheduled to be in court at 2 p.m. today. So she continues. Governor Gavin Newsom's spokesperson in a statement reiterated she is no longer part of the administration. So here's the statement. Ms. Williamson no longer serves in this administration. While we are still learning details of the allegations, the governor expects all public servants to uphold the highest standards of integrity. That's almost like, don't you snitch. At a time when the president is openly calling for his attorney general to investigate his political enemies, it is especially important to honor the American principle of being innocent until proven guilty in the court of law by a jury of one's peers. That's interesting that you blame this on Trump, and the investigation started under the Biden administration while she was still your what is she? The chief of staff. So he tries to blame it on Trump, but the investigation started under the Biden presidency while she was still his chief of staff. This is hilarious. Everything. He just blames everything on Trump. So Ashley Zavala, yeah, I'm coming after Trump and Gavin in the same one. People are so confused. They're like, what are you? I'm a libertarian. Sorry. U.S. DOJ notes this investigation began 3 years ago, meaning this started under the Biden administration. So there you go. Ashley Zavala, more here, which also notes involvement of the former chief of staff for California candidate governor and former U.S. HHS Secretary Xavier Becerra. So Sean McCluskie. So he's taken a plea deal. Somebody else took a plea deal too. So it implicates 3 people, 2 of which have already taken a plea deal, which makes you wonder, are they singing, are they cooperating with investigators and telling dirty secrets that they're not supposed to be telling? So I won't bury the lead here. So I think that what might be happening here, the reason I played the Sheng Thao clip, is all of this connected because Eric Swalwell, you guys heard about this too, right? Eric Swalwell is being investigated now. All California politicians, granted, Eric Swalwell isn't in the California government, he's in the federal government, but he does represent California. And these people all know each other. They're all very closely tied. So Sheng Thao gets arrested, indicted back in September. Now, Gavin's chief of staff, well, these 2 other people get arrested and they make plea deals. Then Gavin's chief of staff, so Xavier Becerra's chief of staff gets arrested, makes a plea deal. Then Gavin's chief of staff, former chief of staff, gets arrested. And now Eric Swalwell is under investigation. So I'm wondering, are all these people singing and they're giving somebody up? Is the house of cards starting to fall? That's what I haven't heard a lot of other people. I haven't heard anybody else talking about this. Is all of this stuff connected? Is my question. I think there's a non-zero chance that it could be. Like all this stuff could be connected. So yeah, here's the Eric Swalwell thing. So let's go over to Nick Sorter. It says breaking, it's official. Eric Swalwell has been referred to the DOJ for a criminal probe after potential mortgage fraud was uncovered. How ironic, mortgage fraud. So that's what they went after Trump for. So here, let's watch this clip from Fox News.
Breaking just moments ago, Fox can now confirm that California Democrat Congressman Eric Swalwell has been criminally referred to the Department of Justice, accused of mortgage fraud. Senior White House correspondent Peter Ducey reporting live on this breaking news on Eric Swalwell from the North Lawn. Hey, Peter.
Martha, as I was walking up here to do a hit on a different topic, I got a call from an administration official filling us in that Eric Swalwell, the Democratic California congressman, has indeed been referred to the Justice Department by Bill Pulte, who is the head of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac right now, because he is accused of making false or misleading statements on a mortgage application. We believe that this pertains to a $1.2 million house that Swalwell has in the Washington, D.C. area. Swalwell has already responded. Part of his very long statement says, as the most vocal critic of Donald Trump over the last decade, and as the only person who still has a surviving lawsuit against him, the only thing I am surprised about is that it took him this long to come after me. Like James Comey and John Bolton, Adam Schiff and Lisa Cook, Letitia James, and the dozens more to come, I refuse to live in fear in what was once the freest country in the world. Now, Swalwell has not been charged with anything. This is a criminal referral. Basically, a government agency thinks that they spotted something that is possibly illegal on mortgage documents from Swalwell. The Justice Department will now review these documents to see if a prosecutor believes that charges are worthy in this case, and then we would go from there in the judicial process. Martha.
So the Swalwell thing probably isn't related. This probably is, because this is like the Trump DOJ going after him. The other things are more, I mean, it is the FBI going after Sheng Thao, and now what's her face with the former chief of staff. All right, let's keep going here. So back to what's her name? Williamson. Okay, so this is a thread from Ashley Zavala that kind of breaks down everything that's going on with Dana Williamson, Gavin's former chief of staff. So Ashley Zavala says, at federal court in Sacramento, Dana Williamson, Governor Newsom's former chief of staff, was in custody, escorted to a hearing room. She pleaded not guilty to 23 counts against her. She was in handcuffs, wearing what looked like pajamas, covered with a gray robe and a hair in a small bun. Judge Carolyn Delaney approved her release on a $500,000 bond. Where'd you get that money? William, I bet you didn't have to call a bail bondsman. Williams could be heard sniffling, coughing, crying, and gave Judge a soft yes when asked if she understood the terms and conditions of her release. U.S. prosecutors flagged concerns with releasing her with the evidence of obstruction of justice against her, false contracts, and communication with witnesses. Williamson's attorney pointed out her lack of criminal history and health concern that prevents her from leaving the area. Okay, so it sounded like they wanted to remand her to custody. The conditions include several restrictions from no alcohol, drugs, and must submit to drug and alcohol tests. She cannot contact co-conspirators. She must give up her passport and can't open bank accounts or credit cards without approval. Next court date set for December 11th for a status conference. She posted, okay, that's the, sorry, I didn't mean to click on that link there. Okay, you know what, let's watch this. Let's watch this over here. This is actually funny to me. So this is a clip of her outside the courtroom after she got released. And it's just funny because this chick is so hideously ugly. And Ashley Zavala is very pretty. So imagine just getting indicted and you're leaving the courtroom, and then like the super hot reporter starts asking you questions when you look like shit. It's just funny to me. There's also something that is peak California that happens at the end of this clip. Tell me if you guys spot it. Oh, it's muted.
Former chief of staff walking out of the courtroom today in Sacramento, facing charges in a federal investigation along with other people. Thank you for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Andrea Flores.
I'm Golston Dart. Dana Williamson is facing charges that include fraud, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and making false statements. KCRA 3 political director Ashley Zavala joining us now with what we know about what.
So you can see Ashley Zavala is very pretty, and that haggard witch had to get questioned by her after getting released from the courtroom. just funny to me.
This is a blockbuster investigation.
It is, and tonight, for the first time, we're learning Governor Gavin Newsom's office says that Dana Williamson was put on leave as soon as she informed them last year that she was under criminal investigation. Dana Williamson is one of the most powerful people in California's political system. She was arrested this morning and released this afternoon on a $500,000 bond. She's accused of conspiring with Xavier Becerra's former chief of staff, McCluskie, to take $225,000 from Becerra's political campaign account.
You hear how she says that? I just say, Xavier Becerra. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do the accent.
Xavier Becerra is the former U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary under President Joe Biden and former California Attorney General. He is running for California governor right now. Investigators say this happened between 2022 and 2024, which started before but continued while she was working for Governor Gavin Newsom. She faces 23 federal charges related to that, including wire fraud, bank fraud, obstruction of justice, and false tax documents. Williamson pleaded not guilty today in federal court. Her alleged co-conspirators, Sean McCluskie and well-known Sacramento lobbyist Greg Campbell, have plea deals, according to court documents. In a statement, Xavier Becerra said, quote, "The news today of formal accusations of impropriety by a long-serving trusted advisor are a gut punch. I have voluntarily cooperated with the U.S. Department of Justice in their investigation and will continue to do so. As California's former Attorney General, I fully comprehend the importance of allowing the investigation and legal process to run its course through the justice system." Here's our exchange with Williamson and her attorney when they came out of the courthouse.
Should other California officials and people involved in the government be concerned now with this investigation underway?
Do you have any comment, Ms. Williamson?
No, you guys can contact my attorney.
Do you have anything to say at all?
Ms. Williamson, do you have anything to say to Xavier Becerra right now? He called this a gut punch.
With prosecutors?
No lie. Ms. Williamson, you have nothing to say with the 23 counts against you, alleging that you and co-conspirators funneled money from Xavier Becerra's campaign.
I think that I just said, please, you guys can contact my attorney for a statement.
You have nothing to say to the people of California, Ms. Williamson. Should Governor Gavin Newsom be concerned, Ms. Williamson? Should Governor Gavin Newsom be concerned?
Did you guys hear how they had to bleep it out? Because while all this chaos is happening, you get, oh man, this goes right back to what I was talking to you about, Northside. An annoying ass cyclist comes riding down the street and he's like, "Get out of the bike lane! You're parked in the bike lane!" It's just peak California. It's hilarious. You got one of the most powerful power brokers in California indicted, getting, walked out to her car. And then on top of all of this, you've just got like the perfect representation of annoying ass California cyclists. "Get out of the bike lane!" You guys heard him in the background, right? They had to bleep it out because he's like, "Get out of the fucking bike lane!" Oh, it's so good. Just listen in the background.
He's
ringing the bell.
The people of California, Ms. Williamson. Should Governor Gavin Newsom be concerned, Ms. Williamson? Should Governor Gavin Newsom be concerned? There's nothing else with the 23 charges. Should other government officials in California, other people associated with the government, be concerned here?
Sorry, I have no comment on that. Thank you.
This is a big case, sir. A lot of people could be involved. Dana Williamson was a very powerful person in California's government. There's nothing you can share at this moment.
Sorry.
Can you say when we might have an update or something from you?
It won't be from me. It'll be from her.
Well, she just referred. Okay, so
Yeah.
you won't be her counsel.
There's somebody above me.
Dana Williamson's next court date is scheduled for this December 11th. There are obviously a lot of conditions associated with her release from custody today.
So again, just a blockbuster development here, and so a lot to take in. What are some area Democrats saying about all this?
Excuse me. Yeah, I've spent all day talking to lawmakers, people who have worked with Dana, political consultants, all who are stunned by this. I was actually in a room full of political consultants today as everyone was finding out at the
same time. So I'm wondering what more could come from this investigation. Two questions I keep hearing moving forward in all of this. One, how could this impact Governor Gavin Newsom? Two, how could this impact the candidate for governor, Xavier Becerra?
Okay.
Yeah, we know you keep asking the tough questions out there and get those answers.
Yeah.
All right, Ashley, thank you so much. And we've posted the full federal indictment on KCRA.com. You can also...
Yeah, Ashley Zaval is great. She's fantastic. So Elite Savior over in the comments on YouTube here says, if we can just get voter ID passed. It's interesting you should say that, because Chef Andrew Gruel posted, he reposted Adam Schiff. He says, unlike Texas, California voters overwhelmingly approved a new restricting map, restricting map. You're suing the wrong state. So he's saying that to California, or he's saying that to Donald Trump about suing over Prop 50. The federal government was suing over Prop 50, saying that it was basically racist what they did, because they're like dividing racial areas. Anyway, that's the logic that they're using, and he's saying that the federal government shouldn't be suing that because the California voters voted on this. And then Chef Andrew Grohl chimes in and says, the voters of Huntington Beach overwhelmingly approved voter ID by election in Huntington Beach, but the state is suing them on top of it. So it's like what Adam Schiff's saying, that the federal government shouldn't be suing us. They voted on this. It's like, well, then why is the state government suing Huntington Beach when all of them voted to approve voter ID? And Rob Bonta went after him for it. So it's just his argument's falling apart there. So yeah, Elite Savior, you just reminded me of that. I jumped ahead a little bit. I wasn't going to talk about that yet, but I did. So, all right, let's go over to Mike Netter here. So Mike Netter says, Politico has broken the story that Newsom put his chief of staff on leave due to a criminal investigation a year ago, never disclosed it. She then resigned, and Newsom, knowing the accusation and federal investigation instigated under the Biden administration, issued this statement. I greatly appreciate Dana's counsel and her service to the state and the people of California over the last 2 years. Her insight, tenacity, and bigger heart will be missed. He knew, and he covered it up via a glowing statement. Now we are learning that his chief of staff's alleged co-conspirators have entered plea agreements. One of those co-conspirators was the chief of staff of Xavier Becerra. Xavier Becerra, formerly California Attorney General and former U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services. It was apparently Becerra's campaign account where $225,000 was stolen. The drip, drip, drip of information today means there's a lot more coming. A lot. I hope he's right. I really do. But I mean, Xavier Becerra was previously the Attorney General, which Rob Bonta is now. You guys, I cannot express enough the level of corruption in the California government. It is off the charts. It's, misallocation of campaign funds. That's just the tip of the iceberg. They've got all of these money laundering schemes, the homeless industrial complex, where billions of dollars are given to non-governmental organizations, NGOs, and those NGOs help fund these politicians' campaigns. So they take tax dollars, give them to the NGOs that are supposed to hand out fentanyl needles and fucking crack pipes and tents and shit like that. And it's like billions of dollars go missing. Nobody can account for any of this money. And these NGOs that are issued this money then fund the campaigns. And so it's very similar to what Sheng Thao did. So Sheng Thao took taxpayer dollars, or she awarded contracts, city contracts, to those, who were they? Sorry, let me go back. I want to get the guy's name. Andy and David Duong. She issued their company city contracts, gave them, paid them for these contracts. So they're probably no bid contracts that are way more expensive than they needed to be. And then they took money and funded a smear campaign against her opponent. Well, you give taxpayer dollars to non-governmental organizations that are supposed to provide homeless services. There's no money accountability, and then money gets funneled back into the campaigns of these politicians to get reelected. It's so corrupt, you guys. It is so unbelievably corrupt. And that's just like one other aspect. What about now? Look at the high-speed rail, where these unions are given no-bid contracts that are probably way overpriced. We don't know where billions of dollars for this high-speed rail went. Those same unions funnel money back into their campaigns or back into nonprofits that these politicians set up. So like, how much of this money is actually ending up right back in their pockets? Gavin Newsom's $9 million house that he bought up in Napa or wherever for cash that was bought essentially by another nonprofit that's associated with Gavin. And then they just gave it to Gavin so he could like avoid property taxes, some shit like that. I might not be getting that perfectly right there, but that whole situation was shady. Everything they do is so fucking corrupt. They take so many taxpayer dollars and just do fuck all with it. We don't know what the hell they do with it. Sorry, I'm cursing so much, especially if you're watching Shelly. Sorry. Okay, let's go over to Jennifer Van Laar. She says, it looks like co-conspirator 2 in the Williamson complaint is Alexis Podesta, who served as a secretary of California's Business, Consumer Services, and Housing Agency under Governor Jerry Brown and Gavin Newsom. In 2020, Newsom appointed her to the State Compensation Insurance Board. Appointed her to the State Compensation Insurance Fund Board of Directors. Podesta previously worked for Senator Dianne Feinstein. So that's interesting. Okay, and she continues. She says, did this April 2024 political piece lead to the FBI IRS investigation into Gavin Newsom's then chief of staff and her co-conspirator, who was Xavier Becerra's chief of staff at the time? Becerra, a former longtime member of Congress from Los Angeles and California Attorney General, also spent more than $130,000 over the last year's campaign consultants, activity that has not previously been reported in the media. The political outreach and payments have occurred even as Becerra has continued to state publicly that he is solely focused on his cabinet job in Washington. Apparently, the campaign finance reports initially mistakenly listed the illustrious Podesta Group in D.C. as the firm receiving the payments, but it was actually Podesta Company in Sacramento being paid $10,000 a month to simply oversee the committee. But as the indictment details, the money was really just being funneled through her to Sean McCluskie. So, how did Becerra not know any of this? There's no fucking way. There's no way Xavier Becerra wasn't aware of what was going on below him. This is interesting, you guys. This is really interesting. I really hope that this McCluskie chick rolls over on people. She doesn't look like the type that can keep her mouth shut and just do her time. But we'll see. I really hope the House of Cards is falling because there's so much insane corruption going on. It's out of this world. Okay, let's go to this clip. This is from CNN. So this is Gil Duran, California journalist. Gil Duran shares what it is like to work for Dana Williamson, former top aide to California Governor Gavin Newsom. Williamson has been indicted on federal charges. Let's watch this clip from CNN really quick.
What was she like to work with?
Well, Dana has a reputation for being reckless, for being irresponsible, and for being a bully. She was somebody who loved power and loved to abuse power. Often, if you look at some of the indictment, she's talking about getting people fired, laughing and calling people's names. This is very...
Sounds exactly like Katie Porter. Why are all female California politicians like this?
Much how she was. And, on a personal level, years ago, I was up for a job. I was offered a job, and Dana called my prospective employer and told them that if they hired me, they would be dead to the governor's office. I got that job anyway, but this was how she operated, like a mafia boss, and now she's being treated like a mafia boss.
What does it say about Governor Newsom that he put the person you're describing in charge of his office, running the state?
So this is why I kind of like Alex. I bitch and moan about him all the time, and it's probably unfair because it seems like he gives Gavin like puff piece interviews all the time, but he does ask these questions. So it's not like he's completely one-sided. Seems like he leans more towards favoring California Democrats, but he does keep it fairly balanced. So I have to give him credit for that.
Well, I would say that Governor Newsom, as well as Governor Brown, for whom I worked, and Xavier Becerra should be ashamed of their terrible lapse of judgment here. The only reason Dana Williamson acted the way she did for so many years and what led to this situation was that she felt she could act with impunity. And she felt she could act with impunity because of the power she was given, despite the very obvious problems with her behavior that were apparent for years. And so I think there's going to have to be a lot of soul searching in Sacramento. You know, this isn't just any Democratic operative. Dana Williamson had so much power in the California Democratic Party that there's a statue of her daughter on top of California Democratic Party headquarters in Sacramento. So I think there's going to have to be a lot of soul searching about exactly what went wrong and how.
Chris Toast, sorry, I think I bumped up the gain, but I can't tell on my end. So sorry if the audio is too quiet, you guys.
To root out this culture of corruption that always seems to form in Sacramento, and to be frank, in city halls and in state capitals across the country. The FBI is always there. The FBI is always bringing people down. So this is not exactly a shock that you would get caught if you tried to do something as ridiculous as this Soprano-like scheme they had going on.
Yeah, sorry if the audio is too low on that, you guys. Let me know if it's still low on this next clip. Okay, so this is from Eaton Wallace. He's a good follow. He's a California Capitol reporter for Nexstar California, KTLA, KRON, so a whole bunch of local news outlets. His name is Eaton, E-Y-T-A-N Wallace over on X. You guys should give him a follow. He's doing some good work over there too. So he says, moments ago, Sean McCluskie, let me share this. Sean McCluskie, former chief of staff to Xavier Becerra, walked out of federal court in Sacramento. He's accused of fraudulently taking nearly $250,000 from a dormant campaign account for former HHS Secretary Xavier Becerra. Governor Gavin Newsom, former chief of staff, accused of conspiring in the scheme. Here is the unedited video outside of the courthouse. Cameras were not allowed in the courtroom. These are just low-hanging fruit, you guys. There's no way the people at the top didn't know this shit was going on. There's no fucking way. All right, let's watch this clip. Yeah, thanks, Chris. Scarlett is doing a lot better. I appreciate it. She's guys, I don't know if you can see her here. Let me look how cute my dog is, you guys. Look at her. Look at her back there. You guys see her? Mike's in the way. Look how cute my dog is. She had a rough day yesterday. It rained. Okay, sorry. That was just any opportunity that I could talk about my dog, I will. Okay, so let's go back to Eaton Wallace and let's watch this clip. All right, so this is, what's his name again? McCluskie? Yeah, so this is Sean McCluskie. So he's one of the guys that already took a plea deal. If they took a plea deal, they had to have said something. Maybe that's how they got to Gavin's former chief of staff. So I hope people are just singing like birds in there because they don't want to go to prison. I really hope that's what's happening here. All right, so let's watch this clip.
What did you do with the money?
Any comment? Any comment? Would you like to share your side of the story, sir?
Does Sarah know anything about any of this? Any other high-ranking officials who come out? Anything you should know?
The walk of shame. He knows he's busted. Look at the look on his face. That's like the definition of a frown. This is literally doing the frowny face. No sympathy for you, guy. You know what's funny, you guys? because many of you guys know that I ran for state senate against John Laird, one of the guys that is refusing to release how much this new Capitol Annex project is costing. Well, the Secretary of State is auditing me. So I raised about $10,000 in my campaign. I was up against John Laird, who had over $1 million. I'm getting audited. Just by the way, you guys aren't aware, the Secretary of State is auditing me over that. Granted, I like fucked up paperwork and I didn't do it right, but yeah, I'm getting audited. So interesting how they're looking into my campaign funds for a measly $10,000, which there's still like $2,000 sitting in a bank account that I need to turn over to the state. I haven't touched. I like actually forgot about that stuff. So yeah, I probably fucked up. So it's probably actually my fault. All right, let's keep going here. All right, we're making decent time, actually. Okay, so this is from California Doge. California Doge. I think this account, well, I think I know who runs this account. I don't want to say his name, though, in case he's trying to keep it quiet. Now it's making sense. Criminally charged Newsom, Chief of Staff Dana Williamson, is the mentor to Gavin Newsom's communications director, I. Gordon, who's in charge, who's in large part responsible for the offensive and unprofessional governor press office posts. So this is the guy that's constantly making like Trump memes and cursing and shit like that. Izzy Garden, and you know the guy in his goofy bow tie right here. So he says, sorry about clearing my throat. I should probably mute when I do that. So he says, Dana is the best in the biz, a mentor I never expected. The badass California needs. Incredibly proud of her and grateful for the good trouble I know she'll cause ahead. So that's after she got appointed to the governor chief of staff. So interesting. Okay, so changing subjects a little bit. So what I just talked about, the Governor Newsom's, well, not Governor Newsom's. There's this giant Capitol Annex project going on where they're like building a new Capitol building in Sacramento, and it was really slated for a huge amount of money. And Ashley Zavala has been covering this for like over a year now, and they will not give her answers about how much this is costing taxpayer dollars. And keep in mind, Gavin Newsom's constantly talking shit to Trump about his ballroom that he's building in the East Wing. Well, he's doing that with all like private funding. This is all taxpayer money, this stuff here. So let's go over to Ashley Zavala.
We are following up again with the project and project leaders on the California Capitol Annex. That's that new office building for lawmakers and the governor.
2 weeks ago, Governor Gavin Newsom told us he would help provide information about the cost of the construction as the Capitol Annex project has been shrouded in secrecy. KCRA 3's political director Ashley Zavala joins us now. She's been following this for years at this point. What's the update?
Edie Ingleson, we are still trying. Despite Governor Gavin Newsom saying the lack of transparency with this project is inappropriate, the main group of people overseeing this are still not budging. Now, some lawmakers who say they're
Ashley has lipstick on her teeth. I'm just saying, she has lipstick on her teeth.
Also being left in the dark are asking him to get more involved.
No days off for the crews working on California's Capitol Annex project. As the construction quickly progresses, project leaders known as the legislature's Joint Rules Committee still will not release the updated cost to taxpayers. They continue to withhold the latest key cost information we requested through a formal records request in August. And committee leaders, Assemblymember Blanca Pacheco and State Senator John Laird.
So State Senator John Laird, the guy that they just showed on screen there. This guy, that's who I ran against. He lives in Santa Cruz. That's who I ran for state senate against. Miserably, got like 2% or less of the vote. Didn't get past the primaries, but he's the one that won't release this information. Are you guys really telling me that John Laird can't just give over how much money they've spent on this? That's all they're trying to find out, is how much money did you spend on this project? John Laird won't hand over the information. You're telling me that Gavin Newsom can't just force him to hand over the information? I think they show the clip where Ashley asks Gavin Newsom about it, and he's such a condescending prick the way he responds to her.
Senator John Laird are still ignoring interview requests. At last check, at least 3 years ago, lawmakers said it would cost $1.1 billion.
It's inappropriate. By the way, I didn't know they were not talking to you. I apologize that members of the legislature are not talking to you. They're on recess. I'll check in with them. Let me know. I'm happy to help you try to get access to members of the California legislature with respect, not my branch of government, but I'm happy because as a taxpayer, I'd like to know as well.
Exactly.
That was 2 weeks ago. You tell me Gavin can't make one call, be like, hey, John Laird, get her this information now. That's all you'd have to do. 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, still nothing.
2 weeks after Governor Gavin Newsom said this, still no movement. The chief administrative officers for the Joint Rules Committee, Leo Lopez and Erica Contreras, blamed a lawsuit that ended a year ago for the lack of public updates. In a statement, they said, in part, the fiscal impacts resulting from the associated construction cost escalation continue to be received and assessed by project managers to ensure that any public update reflects accurate information.
But that is not a good explanation for why we don't have an updated cost estimate.
Adjunct McGeorge School of Law professor and lobbyist Chris McCaley expects the committee is going to have to ask lawmakers and the governor to approve more money for the project.
If the legislature is going to put a pot of money into the state budget, clearly that should be publicly disclosable.
We need to know a full accounting of the project.
Assemblyman Josh Hoover, along with Assemblyman Joe Patterson, sent a letter to Governor Gavin Newsom this week asking him for help. Among many things, they requested he direct the state agencies involved in the project to provide key cost information to the public.
We do feel like he has the authority to really demand transparency and accountability on this. We have heard from his office very briefly, who has basically told us that this is the responsibility of the Joint Rules Committee, which we agree with. However, we really do hope that he reconsiders and decides that he does want to help provide more transparency here.
As we've been reporting, more than 2,000 people have signed non-disclosure agreements to legally keep broad information about this project a secret. With the records that we are getting from the Joint Rules Committee, people who continue to get involved in this project, including government officials, continue to sign them even as of this year.
So we heard from the governor saying, even I want to know this as a taxpayer. Any update?
Yeah, so just to be fully transparent with everyone and you at home, we didn't just decide to do this update today. We gave everyone involved, including the governor, a heads up that we were working on this last week and that we plan to air today. A spokesperson for the governor, Tara Gallegos, reiterated statements she made a couple of weeks ago about the governor's limited role in the project. When I asked her what the governor is doing to deliver on that promise that he made to essentially help me with this, to get you this information, she did not respond. We are hoping to hear back from his office at some point soon.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for staying on.
Okay. So on top of all of these money scams that they got going on, like the former chief of staff for Gavin Newsom right now, moving money around that ends up back in the pockets of people that it's not supposed to end up in the pockets of. And then you've got Sheng Thao giving contracts to people that then turn around and fund smear campaigns of their opponents. This is a $1.1 billion project. How much opportunity is there for fraudulent behavior in this? Again, just like the homeless industrial complex, the NGOs getting massive taxpayer funding and then that money disappearing, the high-speed rail getting massive funding and then that money disappearing. This is a construction project involving union contractors. How many of these union contractors got no-bid contracts that are funding campaigns? Why are they being so secretive about this? Why are so many people signing non-disclosure agreements about a project that's being funded with taxpayer dollars? What's really going on here? Ashes of all is all over this, but I have a feeling this is going to be rotten as hell. And so the original price tag on this was $1.1 billion. What has it skyrocketed to now? I won't be shocked if it's like $3 or $4 billion now when all the information comes out. And you know that they're delaying and scrambling on this because they're trying to figure out how to cover their tracks the best they can. That's what I think is going on. I think this is another giant money laundering operation, and Ashes of Vala is looking into it, and they don't like it. So We'll see what happens with this. But this is another big story. There's so much freaking corruption going on in the California government, and this just seems like another example of that. All right, let's keep going with more California stuff. So this is from Sonja Shaw. She says, heads up California, Newsom, Bonta, and the California Teachers Association and Tony Thurmond's Department of Education are now going after kids with special needs while hiding the truth from parents through the PRISM training program. This stops now. Diabolical, she says. So let's listen to what Sonja has to say here.
Hey guys, Sonia Shaw here. I am the Chino Valley Unified School Board president. I'm also the candidate for the state superintendent of public instruction, but more importantly, I'm a fierce mama bear that refuses to give our kids on a silver platter to these crazy people that are ruining and trying to ruin the relationship between a parent and child. Guys, there is a thing that we've been sounding the alarm on called PRISM. It's a required training that they legislated and they pushed it in with the California Department of Ed. Rob Bonta, our Attorney General, Newsom, all of them, these legislators, the unions, I'm telling you, millions upon millions of dollars, your taxpayer dollars were pushed into this. I have the documents. I did the public record request. I took the training myself because I wanted to see what was being required. Do you guys remember when our district was sued by Newsom, Rob Bonta, and the California Department of Ed, Tony Thurmond, for just wanting to inform parents if their child were to identify as the opposite sex? Guys, it gets worse, because once all of us started to fight the good fight, or not all of us, a few of us, look, there's even some brave teachers right now. It's called the Maribelli case, and they are represented by the Thomas More Society. Amazing what's coming out of that. And we thank the Judge Benitez for all the good rulings that they have been getting so far. Guys, Bonta and them are facing sanction charges on Monday because they hid stuff from the court. Surprise, keeping secrets, that's what they do. But I want to show you another slide from the PRISM training, because I think we all need to realize they come after every child, even our most vulnerable, kids with special needs. This should piss off every freaking person in California and the nation. Right here, look at this. This is part of the PRISM training. It's talking about pronouns, and it's talking about an 8th grade child with special needs. And then it compels you to not only call them by their preferred things, but also the training in PRISM. It does say to keep the secrets from the parents unless the child says it's okay to tell their parents. What the heck? What the hell are we dealing with? This is insanity. This is criminal. This should never happen. You guys need to wake up. A lot of these people are elected. These unions, teachers, get out of your unions. Look, there is protection that you can have to protect you, and you do not need to give the unions money because they're using it against you. Please understand, look at what they're doing. This is gross. This is insane. This needs to stop. Keep fighting the good fight and keep praying for those that are in there in this battle to protect all of our children.
So I wouldn't doubt it if Scott Wiener's fingerprints are all over this shit too. But what you said about the unions there's a couple of things. So you don't have to be in the teachers union. If you are a teacher in California, you don't have to be in the teachers union. And I know a teacher, I won't say her name in case she's watching. Well, I won't say her name. That she refused to join the teachers union. What they did to punish her, essentially, is they just wouldn't hire her as a teacher. She had to be a substitute teacher for the longest time because she refused to join the teachers union. On top of that, she talks about millions of dollars being funneled into these programs, and then the teachers unions are getting money, taxpayer dollars from this. Who do you think the teachers unions campaigns they fund? Again, it's the same thing. These unions get taxpayer dollars, and then these unions are the same people that contribute to the politicians' campaigns that enacted these programs that allowed the taxpayer dollars to flow into their unions in the first place. It's so corrupt. Everything you look at is taxpayer dollars funneling into an organization who is supposed to provide some sort of service, and they get a no-bid contract, and you can't tell how much money is getting shaved off the top and funneled back into other places. All of it is so freaking corrupt. On top of the shit that they're doing where teachers they're not allowed to tell parents about preferred pronouns and shit like that. God, everything is so freaking corrupt in this state. Unbelievably corrupt. All right, let's go check in with the Rumble chat really quick. I haven't been checking that. Singular Anomaly. Oh, thanks for reposting the stream, man. All right, so let's check out on the Rumble chat. Sorry, I've been neglecting you guys over there. I forgot to pull up. The Rumble chat used to show up in StreamYard. Now it doesn't anymore. I got to look at it separately. Northside, I vote we arrest the illegals on H-1Bs and handle it until we get a handle on this. Yeah, Casey Martin, Trump has used the tactic before of putting out a statement like the latest H-1B controversy, get the left to disagree, then switches back. Then the left has to also switch to or stick to Trump. Casey Martin Williamson look like Roz from Monsters, Inc. Oh, she kind of does. You're right. When she walked out of the federal courthouse, you're right. She kind of did. Biden called Becerra Baccaria. That's funny. Casey Martin, I got a strike on X for posting the stone toss vegan versus cyclist insufferable personality contest cartoon. X said it was harassment. There's no such thing. You can't harass cyclists. They harass everybody else. Becerra LARPs is a smart person most of the time, but as soon as his staff gets charged, he turns into a dumb rube whose staff got over on him. The guy doesn't belong in office. Yeah. Northside, okay, we need to arrest the teachers until we get a handle on this. Yeah. I like where your head's at. All right, let's keep going here. I only got a couple more things, you guys. Let's see. I just lost audio for a second. All right, this is just a quick one. Did you guys hear about this? This is from Unlimited L's. Oh, they changed their account. California Light Rail train driver with huge false eyelashes falls asleep at the controls. The woman allegedly fell asleep while piloting a crowded train through the Sunset Tunnel. Surveillance footage shows her head tipping back, eyes dropping, and struggling to stay awake. The train reached 50 miles per hour in the tunnel while passengers were unaware. As it exited into daylight, it jolted violently, throwing riders and drivers against the wall. Yeah, this is a pretty gnarly video. Damn, she almost hit a car. Oh, this is SF Muni. I'm sorry. Relax. Oh, you freaking horrible woman. All right. Here's Gavin Newsom blaming Trump for climate change. Yeah, I almost want to play this on mute because, he does all this crazy hands shit that's just annoying as hell. It's off the charts in this one. It's like he did extra cocaine before this little speech here.
In my state included, which is one of the most blessed and cursed states as it relates to climate. We're on the tip of the spear of climate change, simultaneous droughts and simultaneous floods.
That doesn't even make sense. Simultaneous droughts and simultaneous floods. Okay.
The hots are getting a lot hotter, the dries drier.
No, they're not.
You saw one of the most devastating wildfires in American history in the middle of winter.
Right, and there was no water. And it was a fire that was said to be put out, and then 6 days later, it became a raging inferno. That's weird. And then Mayor Bass wasn't even in the country. You knew that 100-mile-per-hour winds were coming. This is a huge failure of California government. Gavin's trying to blame it on climate change. This is a huge failure. That's all it was.
In Los Angeles, in January, 100-mile-an-hour winds attached to fire. And as we rebuild, the number one concern people have is, how do I get my home insured?
Right. Because the fire mitigation is so bad in California that insurance companies aren't covering it.
And how do you get a developer to develop a home that can't get a mortgage, which requires home insurance?
No, how do you get a developer to build a new home when there's so much insane regulation that these homes didn't have when they were initially built? There's so much red tape that people just don't want to rebuild.
Oh, from across the spectrum, from financial risk to the issue of cost of living, which is universal, to global competitiveness, This is a no-brainer. In my state,
I can't stand him. It's just nonstop gaslighting. And this is Gavin Newsom going to like this global climate summit that Trump decided not to go to. But since Gavin's running for president, which everybody knows Gavin's running for president, he decided he's going to go so he can appear presidential. Meanwhile, while he goes there, he gaslights everybody into saying that it's climate change that caused these fires when it was just a purely incompetent breakdown of California government. It's insane. It's it's all insane. I can't stand it. Can't stand any of it. So yeah, I think that is all I got for tonight, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 other large stories that I want to cover that I'm probably not even going to be able to cover all of that on Sunday. So I might actually have to do a stream tomorrow night, you guys. I might do it. I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to do a stream tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Same thing. So hopefully you guys will come back, because we've got to talk about the January 6th pipe bomb situation. We've got to talk. There's a Palantir thing that I want to talk briefly about. Want to talk about. Oh, yeah. This might be the whole episode that I do on Sunday. I want to talk about chemtrails. We're going to talk about chemtrails, all of the streaks that you see in the sky. I've done an episode on this before, but I want to go into all the ins and outs of it, especially since Tucker Carlson had that guy on that created that documentary called The Dimming. And I'm going to try to approach it from an open mind. I think that something's crazy is going on in our skies, but I want to give the arguments and the counter arguments to all of that stuff. So yeah, I might be talking about chemtrails on Sunday. And then we've got all the Epstein shit that's been coming out lately. Yeah, so there's some big stories, some big things that are going on that I want to talk about. So I'm probably gonna have to do a show tomorrow night. Maybe I'll just do like an hour tomorrow night so I can focus 2 hours on the chemtrail stuff. So maybe tomorrow night I'll just talk about that small Palantir story and the whole Epstein shit that's going down and how it's weird. There's also some Thomas Crooks stuff that I want to talk about. Thomas Crooks, the shooter, the Trump shooter, that guy. Yeah, the would-be assassin. So a lot of other stuff that I want to get into. But that is all I got for tonight. But before we get out of here, you know how we do it. We got to tell a joke from the greatest book ever written, The Truth About Chuck Norris. You know the rules. I open the book to a random page. I get my eyes on a joke, and I read it. It might be good. It might not be good. Chuck Norris, joke of the evening. Chuck Norris keeps a horde of trained bees under his beard to let loose at a moment's notice. And on that note, stay CaliBased. Thanks for hanging out, everybody.